Hey family, MarshaunO here, your favorite life and relationship strategist, and you keep coming back to MarshaunO because you want to be a part of the top 1% of couples that have extraordinary relationships. Now, I'm a life and relationship strategist, and I help women that are in long-term relationships or those who are married to stop feeling disconnected and unloved in their relationships and move them into feeling understood, loved, cherished, appreciated, all while creating those very intimate, cherished moments that she wants and needs. Now, we're going to talk about what marriage actually looks like, what a real marriage looks like, because some people have a fantasy about what marriage is and how it's supposed to look, i.e. comparing what their marriage looks like, or the thought of what their marriage looks like. And it's very different for the majority of people when they actually get into the marriage. And so most of us, including myself, I had a very, very, very large fantasy about what marriage was. And it wasn't so much about actually like saying I do. It was more about how I should be, how he should be, who he should be, how he should say certain things, how sensitive he should be. Like all of those things were not taught to me in my first marriage. And if you've been following me for any part of time, you know that I'm actually in my second marriage. And one of the reasons why, and the main reason why, is because I did not know the information prior to jumping into a marriage. I just knew all my life I was never a wedding type of girl, meaning I never dressed up my dolls and had all of my colors picked out. I knew how many groomsmen, how many bridesmaids and dresses and venue and flower. I wasn't that girl. I was always the girl that knew that she just wanted to get married. I wanted to have my 2.5 children, my white picket fence, my dog, and of course, my husband, right? But I didn't have the mindset to prepare myself for such a relationship. I always, just thought that it was going to be roses all the damn time. And that is just not the way a real marriage is. So for those of you out there that are having fantasies about what real marriage is, especially if you've never been in a marriage, or you've been in a marriage but you are a part of that group that was just very, very disappointed about what real marriage actually is, this video is for you. You're definitely in the right spot. So I actually seen a meme on Facebook about this very topic, and I wanted to come here because I totally resonated with this meme. Now, I'm not the tech savvy person, so you're not gonna see the meme, but just know that's exactly where this came from. And so if you hear some of the things that I'm saying, they're not originally from me, but it resonated so much with me that I was just like, I gotta come and share this, because this literally is what real marriage is. And again, this is really just one example, but it is a great example, number one, but then it's also an example that you can relate to. So it's a relatable example as well. So here's what some people see. Most people see people that are longing to be in a marriage, that are longing to have the ring, that are longing to have the family, that are longing to have the child, right? Let me just say that not enough people put time and effort into who they are before getting into a marriage, who they want to be, how things are going now, basically not breaking down and evaluating exactly where they are before they say I do, and the expectations that they're having for a marriage, and the work that it takes to specifically in the beginning to really build the foundation. And one thing that I found to be very, very true, and as many times as I talk to just couples and just people that have been in marriages, or they lived together for umpteen years and then they decided to get married, it is very different. It's something about the piece of paper. It really, because that's exactly what it is, a piece of paper. But there's something about the piece of paper that changes the dynamics. And it's usually for the worse. And I'm just being honest, it's usually for the worse. And I think that it has more to do, and I believe that it has more to do with the fact that now that there is more on the line, right? Because even if I was just staying with you, I still have an out. I still have an out. We don't have all of this stuff together, like houses and cars and mortgages, and like our bills are usually not together. Some people do, but by and large, most people don't. And so you don't have as much invested. But it's something about the piece of paper. You changing their last name, especially if you're the woman, you're changing your last name, and now you're putting your name in all this stuff. And now you have all the vehicles and the bills and the mortgages and all this stuff that now you have together. You also don't want to be a part of the statistic. Yes, nobody likes a breakup, but a divorce seems so much heavier. It's like a burden. It's just that now you're a part of the statistic. People look at you differently when you say that you are a divorcee. You even feel shame about yourself because society has told us that nobody should get a divorce. Right? So there are different things that come with the whole marriage. And I'm not knocking any type or trying to make light of marriage by calling it a piece of paper. But please hear me what I'm saying beyond that fact. I don't want you to only have the fantasy about what marriage is versus what it really is. So now with that being said, I had to give all of that disclaimer and also give you some of my backstory so you can understand, especially if you're finding my channel for the very first time. So what everyone sees, again, these are the people on the outside looking in. They see that both of you may have goals. They don't see that you might not be working together to achieve your goals, but they just see that both of you have goals, right? They even see that the two of you love one another, which hopefully is true, right? If you're getting into a marriage, hopefully you love this person. It's not just for selfish reasons like monetary gain or for you to, basically make the come up or whatever it is, right? Hopefully you do love this person. That everyone sees that you two have fun together. You're constantly laughing and joking together. You're just having a lot of fun together, which is a beautiful sight to see. Another thing that they see going along with the fun and the laughter is that you two seem relatively happy every single time that we see you out, meaning the outside people looking in on your relationship. They see that you guys are happy. Another thing that they may see often is the effortless connections. You two seem like two peas in the pod. You might even be finishing each other's sentences. You're like, hey, babe, again, just laughing and joking, always having a good time with each other, never really talking bad about one another, especially for outside people. Everybody just sees this effortless connection. You guys seem to be the couple. You guys seem to be the ones where I need to attain that. I want a piece of that, right? Another thing that you might see is this couple, they have family goals. And you might see this, I said family goals, which that's true too, but that's not what I meant to say. What I meant to say is cool family pics, like on social media. They're out on vacations. They're taking all of these pictures. It might just be her and him. It might be the entire family, but they're always going somewhere and you get to see all of these very cool pictures. They might just be eating dinner and they're snapping photos. They might, whatever it is that they're doing, right? With life. They're living life, but they're posting all of these beautiful pictures and you're like, oh my God, they have the perfect relationship. Oh my God, I want a piece of that. How come? And then you start going down that rabbit hole. We're not doing that here. I'm just saying some of the things that actually happen because ugly comparison shows up and we start going down that rabbit hole. And might even be secretly like hating on them because they have such a beautiful connection. Again, in front, this is what you see because you're on the outside looking in. Another thing that you may see, which I already kind of mentioned this, what I want to bring it to the forefront, is the vacations. Like they're traveling to Dubai and they're traveling to London. They're traveling to somewhere in the States that you want to go to. They're traveling to Australia. Whatever it is, they're doing a lot of travel. And you're like, dang, they got the perfect life together. I want a piece of that. But here's the thing that you don't see. Now, this is where marriage gets real, okay? This is where marriage gets all the way real because it's not like that couple doesn't have issues, problems, fights, arguments, disagreements. It's not that they don't have any of that because every person that comes together in a relationship has their own mind, their own thoughts, their own patterns, their own behaviors, their own habits. Some need to be corrected. Some need to be like amped up, like please do more of that. So with that being said, what you don't see with a lot of those couples, and the couple that I'm speaking about, that I'm explaining, is a part of the top 1% of couples that have extraordinary relationships, because the backside of marriage, the backside of the relationship, really is the most important, because that is going to be the glue that holds everything together. And so this list that I'm about to give you is the glue that's holding their marriage together, that's holding their relationship together, that's holding their foundation together, which is why you're able to see all of the beautiful things, the family pics, the vacations, the effortless connection, the love, the goals, all that stuff. You're able to outwardly see all that stuff because of the back end of their relationship. So the back end of the relationship, which is the areas and the pieces of the puzzle that you don't see, us on the outside looking in. Here's what you don't see. You don't see how much they actually pray, whether it's together or separately, how much they pray about the relationship, how much they pray about the problem or issue, how much they pray for one another, how much they down on their knees saying, God, I ain't got the answer to this one. Like, this one is a tough pill to swallow. This one is something I just don't know what to do with. So there is a lot of prayer in the couples that have extraordinary relationships. Lots of prayer, lots of meditation and connectedness with the Father. Another thing that you don't see, they might be in therapy. You might never have known that this beautiful couple had to go through therapy in order to get rid of a lot of that junk, the baggage, in order to get to the state that they're in. They may have gone through a lot of therapy, or some therapy, maybe not even a lot, but some therapy. And you didn't think that that was ever on their radar, because again, they know how to keep their issues, their problems to themselves in their relationship. So they may have gone through therapy. Another thing that you don't see is the vulnerability, the ugly times, the ugly days, the ugly snot cries, how they hurt each other's feelings, how they had to apologize, how they had to get over their ego and pride in order to come back and connect. Because there always going to be some type of arguments, always going to be some type of disagreements. But how fast do you think that he or she had to come back and apologize? They can't just stay in that mad state in order to be a part of the top 1% of couples that have extraordinary relationships. They just cannot. They also know that that brings about distance and disconnection. They want to stay connected, so they let ego, they let pride, they shake all that off, and they come together once again. Another thing that you may not see is how often they continuously add in the daily effort to stay connected, to stay in love, to stay feeling like that is their best friend. To feel like, oh my God, this is the person, this is my person. This is the one, and I don't want to lose this person. You don't see the continuous daily effort that is put into creating this type of relationship. Another thing that you don't see is the difficult conversations, the hard, honest talks, the ones that you do not want to hear about. This is something that me and my husband have been doing religiously lately. All the ugly talks that we need to have. Because what you don't realize is when you're having these ugly, deep conversations and really just putting it all on the line, no matter if your feelings get hurt or not, specifically my feelings or his feelings, we're not being mean to one another. But the only way that you can get better, the only way that I can get better, is if I hear the real. If you're placating me for the moment, that's not helping me. That's not helping the relationship. And so extraordinary couples do this, and they do it often. They do not allow the stuff to build up. They do not allow the resentment to build up. They have the tough conversations. Another thing is that they're constantly working on unlearning their bad habits, their bad behaviors, the things that they learn that are no longer serving them in this beautiful relationship, in this beautiful marriage, in this beautiful, what we see on the outside, effortless connection. Another thing that you may not see is that they're continuously and constantly working on, or have worked on, their childhood traumas. and gotten rid of those things and actually started to look at themselves differently. And the junk that was implanted in their mind, they have either started to work to get that out or are currently working on removing that ugliness so they can bring in new belief systems about themselves. You may not see that. You may not ever hear about it, but it's happening or has happened. And the final thing that you don't see, right? You're not getting this in the public eye, is that they're choosing each other daily. Because relationships, and specifically marriage, you have to choose your spouse each and every day. This is not something that is just naturally going to happen, because when people piss you off, we want to write people off. And that does not exclude our spouse. But when you want to create something, when you want to create a legacy, when you want to stop having when you want to break the generational curses, you have to do something different in order to get something different back in return. And so you have to show up and be a different woman. You have to show up and be a different man in order to build a legacy, in order to build something different, something even better than your parents had, or something that you wish to attain that you've seen in your parents, but you can't get it quite yourself. You have to make a conscious decision that I'm going to choose this person even when I'm pissed off. I'm going to choose this person especially when I'm happy, because it's easy to choose him. It's easy to choose her when I'm happy. But what about when I'm pissed off, when I'm angry, when I'm frustrated, when they disappoint me or disappoint you? That's when the real test comes into play. It's not when you guys have a beautiful, blissful time. It's when you feel hurt. It's when you feeling discouraged. It's when you feeling like, wow, damn, he hurt my feelings. She hurt my feelings. How could she do this? How could he do this? That is the time that you have to show up and still choose the relationship, choose your husband, choose your wife daily. That's when the true test comes into play. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Let's continue the conversation. And if you made it this far, give me a thumbs up. I love you guys, and there's nothing that you can do about it. Bye now.